Thank you so much for being here this morning. This is Clay County Economic Development Corporation's 8th annual First Coast Expressway Summit. So we have some great speakers this morning to bring us all up to speed on where the summit is and how the progression is moving forward. So thank you again for the speakers and presenters, their time and energy this morning, and thank you for the community for your interest and excitement for what's going on in Clay County. At this time, we would like to say thank you so much to Comcast for sponsoring and supporting what we are doing here in Clay County. And at this time, I would like to invite Jen Boyette up to give us a few words about the great things that Comcast is doing throughout the region.
Ready to rise above? Comcast Rise has helped entrepreneurs reach new possibilities. Apply by May 31st at ComcastRise.com for a chance to receive an award package, including a monetary grant, marketing and technology makeovers, and more. Keep rising.
Nice. Thank you. That was a quick little teaser. Good morning, everybody. I am Jen Boyette from Comcast, and today I'm talking about Rise. If you haven't heard already, hopefully there's already buzz going on around the community, but Comcast Jacksonville greater area has been chosen as a Rise city. Now, Rise is a small business grant opportunity that was born in 2020 during COVID. Everybody went home and small businesses started to fail or struggle a little bit because nobody was coming back out. So that was the purpose of starting Rise, but we have kept it even though we've gone back out into the community and we've morphed it a little bit. So when we first started, Rise was all over the country. Comcast is in 39 states, and we were all over the country. Now we pick select cities where we think they could use the boost or have a good turnout. So this year there are 5 cities, and Jacksonville, greater Jacksonville area is one of them. So the other Rise cities this year are Houston, Atlanta, Richmond, Virginia, Southern Colorado, and Jacksonville. So it's Clay County, St. John's, Duval, and then Nassau, and then Southern Georgia. So you've got Folkston, Woodbine, Kingsland, and that's it. At any rate, sorry, I've said this a couple of times, and I always have a couple of memory issues there. But there are some eligibility factors. If you go to our website, which is ComcastRise.com, you can see what areas are eligible. But it's a great opportunity. It's a wonderful package. It is an application process, but any small business who has been around longer than 3 years, has under 100 people employed. There are other eligibility factors on the website. Please check those out first. But you can get $5,000 monetary help. You get business consultation and education services, which are worth their weight in gold. You can call that person all year round and say, this happened. What do I do now? This is my marketing strategy. How do I make this work? You also get a technology makeover from Comcast. We come in and look at your Wi-Fi issues and the way you have your computer system hooked up, and we help you with that. And I do believe they pay for services for a full year, which is amazing. And then you also have the opportunity for marketing. You get a marketing review and a commercial made. So it is a great, robust package that is available to small business owners. The application window, as the teaser said, is open May 1st through May 31st. So if you go to the website, you just click the little apply button in the corner. But I would recommend people to, again, check the eligibility factors first. Some people don't have their paperwork ready. I'm hearing already for the early feedback is some of their documentation is missing. So just make sure people who go through it read it first and then apply. There is like a bio section where they can really pump it up and talk about how their company deserves it and why they're unique. And I will tell you that we have a team of people at headquarters reading each application. It's not an AI thing where a computer is saying, yes, they check that box, check that box. No, we have actual people reading these and awarding them the grants to worthy small businesses. So again, the application window is up until May 31st. People won't find out either way until August 13th. So once they hit submit, it's done, and then on August 13th, they'll either get a congratulations email and phone call or a negative rejection email. But that doesn't mean you can't try again in a couple years. But at any rate, it is huge that Jacksonville was chosen. Again, there's only 5 cities across the country, so it's a great opportunity here. We're going around trying to let people know about it. I know a lot of you are leaders and work with a lot of small business leaders in your communities, so please help spread the word, let them know it's available, because again, it's a really great opportunity. Over the years, we have awarded 13,500 businesses and $125 million just since 2020 to support small businesses. So in Jacksonville, 100 businesses will be chosen. So, and that's a huge amount of people that will be selected, and hopefully it's a domino effect where you help lift those businesses up and it lifts up our whole community. So I will be here for a while. If anybody has questions, let me know, but there should be papers out that let you know like a one-pager lets you know more about the program. But reach out to me anytime. Laura has my information if you need more details. But again, thanks for having us today, and I hope you apply and spread the word. Thanks for having us.
Again, thank you so much for Comcast for supporting this organization and this presentation this morning. Our first initial speaker is Mr. Driggers with the Florida Department of Transportation, and if you will please make your way to the podium.
Good morning. Unfortunately, Secretary Evans couldn't be here today due to a conflict, and as you all know, he is a very good orator, and I'm going to do my best to try to represent the department and highlight the partnership between the interests here today. Just to kind of kick off, give you a perspective of who I am and what my role is within DOT. I'm the District 2 Planning and Environmental Management Engineer for District 2. I cover all 18 counties responsible for that D2 region. So to put it in perspective, as I build through my presentation, I just wanted to spotlight the First Coast Expressway corridor, and I'm going to present in a manner of the opportunities of today, tomorrow, and down the road. So for perspective, the entire corridor is in excess of $2 billion investment within the region. And when I say $2 billion, an interesting fact of in the immediate return on investment from an economic perspective, we typically see that every dollar of transportation investment returns an immediate return of $4 to the local economy. And it's a recurring dividend beyond. So you can imagine how that $2 billion plus investment is naturalizing down into the local economy, and it'll continue to do so. What I call the first segment is the area that's already built out. Basically, it's from north of I-10, the US 90 intersect, runs all the way down to Blaney Boulevard. That is fully open. It opened back in 2019. Obviously, it started before that, but that's when that segment was fully, actualized to traffic. The Phase 2 segment essentially runs from that Blaney Boulevard connection down to the base of the Shands Bridge, and that is active in construction. We're forecasting that it'll be complete in the 2025 calendar year. And the last segment is called Phase 3 is actually, we link it together just in the sense of, as you can imagine, the Shands Bridge replacement, that is a signature bridge, and it takes a long time to build bridges. So we are forecasting that between the Shands Bridge that's active in construction, in addition to the future lettings that we have to connect all the way to 95, that we're looking at a 2031 opening time frame. So approximately 2031, the full system connectivity I-10 to 95 is going to happen. And I get asked this question a lot. It's why does it take 20, 30 years to build a corridor of this magnitude? As you can imagine, $2 billion is a lot of money. Beyond that, you have to break things into manageable segments of opportunity. We obviously started, closest to I-10 and worked ourselves down. Each one of those little segments as a representation is a new contract. A new contract that has utility coordination, it has designers, it has owners reps, it has CEI firms. A lot of people go into each one of those segments. So that kind of gives you a breakdown of how involved and that time lapse of how we built this project, this entire corridor out to make that ultimate connection. So it's kind of a lead-in, which it's not showing the text, but I had an opening statement there in kind of that little quadrant is opportunities create opportunities, opportunities create challenges. But with appropriate planning and partnership, challenges can also be opportunities. So I wanted to leave you all with a perspective of what we're going to see now from an economic perspective and what we anticipate to see down the road. So you look at the Phase 1, and when I say Phase 1, that's build out, that's open today. As you can imagine, you enhance connectivity for communities, you see growth, you see expansion, you see increased demands. Workforce development, we have to have folks to maintain these roadways. We see, conversations about our utility grid. Do we have what we need? Do we have the school system facilities set up? Do we have all these things? And that's just the first step. You're going to see expansion. You see interchanges develop out. You see amenities. You see communities form. It creates challenges. Once again, challenges create opportunities as long as we're aware and we plan. You begin to see arterials. You see transportation challenges that we didn't have before now begin to pop up. That's the now. That's what we're seeing now. Well, imagine when that next segment, which I'm calling the phase 2 all the way down to 16, imagine when that's built out. Well, that same problem statement compounds. The difference is the conversation to the north is it's already built, we're maintaining, we're actively watching the new growth. Well, we've got these projects under construction, so we've got challenges with skilled workforce development. We've got challenges with materials. Contractors out there working, they're having to get these things. We're all competing, Clay County, St. Johns County, City of Jacksonville, we're all competing for resources. So we're having to man that. Technology, as technology grows, talking about workforce development skill, we also see that we need higher skill sets. The educational system becomes important. The growth in technical trades, all of those things, once again, are economic drivers. In addition, that development and that build out that you saw, you're going to see even more of when this system opens up and this connectivity opens up. You're going to see more congestion on arterials and connecting roadways that we got to get ahead of and we've got to plan for. And then the very last segment is the full opening. Same argument. You're going to see expansion, you're going to see growth in new areas. In addition, you're going to see 95 connected to I-10. You're going to see a substantial volume of traffic. At that point, we have to worry about freight industry and impacts of where are trucks going to go, how are they going to navigate, how are they going to rest. Resources for those commuters are going to be utilized in that corridor. So I say all this in the sense that we're there. We've got our $2 billion plan. First Coast Expressway is committed to coming to life. Now, through partnership, through this engagement, we can begin to plan and become aware of those challenges so that we can have a plan in place to stay ahead of those future needs. With that, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity. I also wanted to leave you I always like to leave a little standby, but there's a website, firstcoastexpressway.com. It's a great resource. There's maps, there's timelines. A lot of additional information detail is there as well. Ms. Sarah's here as well with me, and Ms. Sarah's going to take a very deep dive into the specifics of each one of the projects. I really wanted to keep it high level. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, good morning. It's great to see everybody here today. I'm David Broski. I'm Superintendent of Schools here in Clay County, and it's my pleasure to be here this morning. I'm going to give you a brief introduction. I'm also going to talk about enrollment in Clay County schools, areas of growth within our county, as well as projected school needs. So just a couple quick things. I think I've had every job in Clay County other than Keystone. That's the only community that I haven't been. A little trivia fact for you, if you ever play in Trivial Pursuit, I'm the only superintendent to be appointed by the governor and elected by the people. So that and 50 cents will get you a quarter cup of coffee at Starbucks. Okay, so congratulations. One of the things that I'm very proud of that the EDC from the very beginning saw the impact on schools and the way that schools impact the community itself. And I don't know how to say this diplomatically because I'm a young man from New York originally. People don't move to areas where their school system's terrible. I hope you realize that. And so this First Coast Expressway coming through is one impact on that. But if the school system wasn't vibrant, people wouldn't move here anyway, right? So think of that. We're blessed to have a very good school system. Those are some of the things that as superintendent you would point out to the community to have reassurance that the school system is vibrant. It's an A-rated school system, so 67 counties in the state of Florida, 16 of them are A-rated. One of them is Clay County schools, right, to give you a comparison of that. Being academically high performing means that we have low class size, our budgetary practices and our audits of our budget came out stellar, as well as the academic performance. So there's fiscal responsibility within the school system also. The 95% graduation rate is the highest ever in Clay County history for our 7 high schools. So students are in fact excelling in Clay County schools. Not that it's a competition, but it kind of is, right? Because we compete, and I want the very best for Clay County students because that's my role. We're second in the state of Florida in social studies. We're fourth in science. We're ninth in math, and we're 12th in ELA. Not on that screen is we're first in the entire state in civics education. I'm just going to tell you, as a history teacher, that's one that kind of goes to the heart, and for most citizens of Clay County, that's a pretty big deal that we want to raise responsible citizens. So a little bit about Clay County schools. We've got about 42,000 students, almost 43,000 students, 43 district managed schools. We're projecting probably about 11,000, a little over 11,000 new students in 10 years to Clay County schools. Now, here's the thing about school systems. We don't have the right by statute to say, you know what, we're going to put out the no vacancy sign, right? We're not going to, we have to plan for those students coming. And so while others have different metrics that we look at the number of homes being built. That's the metric that we look at. So we look at it a little differently than other governmental agencies. We strictly focus on what are the number of homes projected in an area, what's the time frame that those homes are going to be built, because when they're built, we realize there's going to be students coming, right? So that's how we operate. We're projecting about $280 million in new build to kind of accommodate students. That's a 15.1% increase in students, so we are growing significantly in Clay County, and therefore we need to make sure that we have the facilities to welcome those new students into the system. We just opened Spring Park Elementary on 3/15. Okay, it was exciting. The Spring Park Owls, okay, is their mascot. That build, the total build, is roughly a little bit over $40 million for a new school, right? I did say million. $40 million for a new school. It's a beautiful facility out there on 315. So overall growth, if you take a look at the next 10 years, this is what we're projecting to be growth within Clay County. And again, we focus on number of homes. That's our metric. We take the number of homes and then we use a statistical model to tell you how many students that's going to generate. So for example, the number of homes that we're projecting, there's a factor for elementary, for junior high and high school. When you think about that, that makes sense, right? There's 6 grades plus kindergarten in an elementary school. A junior high is 7th and 8th, and then there's 4 grades in high school. So there's different factors as to the number of students that'll be produced for each one of those grade levels. So the Broski family, there's 10 children in my family. I'm number 9 out of 10 children, right? So we were fruitful and multiplied. So some houses have no children. Some houses have 10 children. So you say, well, how do you figure that out? How do you estimate the number of kids you're going to have? We go over a 5-year history of that. There's a factor that we use based on that 5-year history of what's produced there, and it's fairly accurate. But again, we don't know who's moving into those homes when they're moving in. You can see Lake Asbury is our biggest community there. We're estimating about 25,000 new homes total over 10 years. That's a lot. How many people realize that growth is a thing in Lake Asbury? Anybody? Anybody? Howard raises his hand right away. Hey, okay. So we look at the number of permits pulled, and roughly almost 65% of all permits pulled are in the Lake Asbury, the greater Lake Asbury area. Everywhere that you see pink is active construction. This is an AI-generated program that's more accurate than Google Earth that we use to kind of say, okay, where's the growth happening? You can see the Expressway going through basically the center of that map. You can see all of the pink on both sides of the Expressway. You can see the names of the subdivisions going in, as well as the number of homes. And then on the right, you can see the schools that are involved, because we look at schools and school capacity. How many seats are available for students within that school, okay? Now, if there's not enough seats for children, well, that's a problem, right? Like, what do you do? The only option school districts have, one, you can build new buildings, but at $40 million for a new school, that's a thing. You can redistrict. You can send kids to different schools. How many people are aware that parents love it when you change their kid's school? Right, it's a very popular thing to do. Everybody's looking forward to it. You know, let's go to the meeting, let's talk about it. We're understanding, we're patient. Go ahead and move my child, right? So you can kind of see that's huge, the amount of growth, and anybody that's been in Lake Asbury knows that to be true. So there you go, there's the overall map of Lake Asbury. Everywhere you see pink is current construction as of yesterday, okay, on that map. And you can kind of see, you see Russell Road over to the right there. Okay, so total students in Lake Asbury, we're looking at about 3,400 new students there, and that's almost that's rapidly coming. Other areas construction hasn't started in, so then it becomes, well, how do you plan this out? I always liken it to the hurricane predictors, right? When a hurricane's coming, the weatherman stands in front of a map and there's this big cone, right? And the cone goes down, and it's called the cone of uncertainty, right? So the further away, the more time away for a school system, the more unsure we are as to the actual number of homes that are going to be built. So therefore, you have to have a short-range plan, like what are you doing right now? What are you doing midway? And then what do you do in long range? And you realize the further long range your plan is, the more likely it is to change over time. So that's my disclaimer for what I'm about to show you, meaning that could change, right? We know where we are now. We think we know where we're going in the short term. We do have a long range plan, but 10 years from now is it's a long time. A lot of things could happen in 10 years. So oak leaf growth, you can see significantly less growth, but you can see where the pink is current developments in the oak leaf area. You can also see the oak leaf growth potential of about 1,950 homes left to be built there. It's the next highest area. There's oak leaf construction that you can see there in oak leaf. The pink area is all of the construction that's active as of yesterday. You can see 750 new students in Oakleaf. But I always call the Plantation Drive there the longest school zone in America, right? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schools all in a condensed area. Well, that's because Oakleaf is a very condensed area for students, right? And so we built those schools strategically on that road. So if you come through there, you may want to watch the time frame that you go through the Oakleaf area. Then you have Middleburg growth. You can see there about 2,100 new homes is our prediction for that and how that corresponds to students. Again, we focus primarily just on homes. How many homes are projected to go into that particular area? There's Middleburg. You can see all of the construction that's in the Middleburg area that we track as a district to see where and when these homes are going to be built. So you're looking at about 900 new students, 2,100 new homes in Middleburg for Middleburg's growth. Green Cove Springs area. You can kind of see Green Cove where they are. Spring Park's already at 81% capacity, opening up. Charles E. Bennett is at 70, Green Cove Jr. at 84, and Clay High is at 84. So potential growth there is going to happen a little bit further down the road because of Governor's Park and Agricola and that when they're projected to actually build. So you're talking about more of a long-range plan when it comes to there. So there's Saratoga Springs. You can see the potential opening of new schools there. We are planning a high school. A high school, by the way, is about $200 million for a new high school. $200 million for a new high school. That's a lot. So we're saving our pennies now. Okay, you can see that the three DRIs that are there, Saratoga Springs, Governor's Park, and Agricola, where they are, and they're all sort of in the Green Cove area, if you want to call Saratoga Springs halfway between Green Cove and Middleburg. There you can see the proposed school sites for Governor's Park, which now you can see, based on the presentation this morning, we're looking at the Shands Bridge piece 31 is the new projection for the completion of that. So looking in that, you're looking at about 6,700 new students. We focus on the student portion of that, and a total of about 13,800 in homes is plotted for those particular areas. So this is the slide that I tell people with a disclaimer, like, hey, this is what we're projecting as far as big major builds. You can see we do have at Oakleaf Junior High and Lake Asbury Junior High, we have a 32 classroom addition that's already in the works and will open up in August of 25. So not this August, but the following August. That primarily is to deal with growth and also portable reduction. One of the things we're trying to do is reduce the number of portable classrooms within our district. Then you'll see there's another one that'll go into Rideout Elementary, Cross Creek, and the build out of Cross Creek causes more influx of students to Rideout, which is why Rideout was over capacity, Rideout Elementary School. So we're working on that. And you can see the high school and the K-8 that would go into Saratoga Springs and the needs that we have. And then the disclaimer at the bottom, subject to change based on actual growth, right? So that's kind of where we're at. Again, thank you so much for having the foresight to include schools and the impact of schools. I know that that's my mission and that's my passion for that, but those of you I've talked to a couple of real estate agents in the room and other people. Most businesses recognize a vibrant school system is extremely important to the growth of a community. So with that, thank you so much.
Good morning. And on behalf of CCUA and our Board of Supervisors and our entire team, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to come talk to you this morning regarding what's happening not only in Clay County, but within CCUA and how we're preparing for the future. As Superintendent Brodsky had mentioned, my name is Jeremy Johnston. I serve as the Executive Director of the Clay County Utility Authority. I've ascended through the ranks ranging from engineering, operations, and now as the Executive Director. So starting out, we are an organization that is nearly 30 years old. We currently serve about 55,000 customer accounts. We are looking to double in size over the next 20 to 25 years. So that's going to roughly about 100, 110, maybe a little bit more within the planning horizon. We continue to advance a number of planning measures to make sure that we are prepared for the growth that is coming. We've completed an integrated water resource planning effort, which I'll talk a little bit later in the presentation. We've completed a strategic plan, which our board adopted earlier this year, and we are nearly complete with a rate study, which lays out an initial financial plan moving forward. So as previously mentioned, growth is underway. This particular map, while centered on the northeast portion of the county, this represents developer agreements that either exist, are in process, or currently being contemplated. This represents roughly about 14 million gallons a day of committed capacity. And so we are expanding and expanding rapidly. I'd like to start with workforce development because you can invest in all this capital and put all this infrastructure out there, but if you don't have a highly trained workforce to operate and maintain these facilities, you're in hot water from the beginning. I do want to commend Superintendent Brodsky for his work with the school district. We have a great partnership with the school district. They do a great job. We have an active internship program. I'm pleased to report we have employed the majority of our high school interns. Our current group of interns, 4 out of the 5, will remain with us upon graduation. The 5th is actually going on to study engineering, I believe, at the University of Florida. Go Gators there. I'm also very pleased to report that our initial group of interns has stayed with us for 6 years now, and they're now lead operators in our organization, which I think is a testament to this particular type of program. Getting high school students into our organization and laying down a foundational training is one step, but you have to maintain that training program throughout a career. And that's why we have implemented a training and development program largely aimed at our operational staff. This continues to provide training for technical expertise, but it also includes management and leadership training for that staff, so they have the opportunities for management positions when they become available. We pride ourselves on longevity in the organization. We have a number of employees that have been with us for 25, 35, and yes, even a few that have been with us for 45 years. And through these training programs, we want to see that type of longevity continue. Next, I'll jump to increasing cost. This graph represents what we had seen regarding our bids versus our engineers' opinions of cost. And when they're on target, they're pretty close to 1, which is what you want. And then beginning in late 2022, 23, and continuing today, we're seeing significant deviations from our estimated cost of projects versus the bids that we are receiving. And when you get into factors of 2, 2.5, that's a factor of 2 beyond what we thought it was going to cost us, which leads to significant challenges in decision making. And this is largely caused by a large influx of capital to drive infrastructure projects forward, and also a restriction in the supply of contractors. So that is driving these type of volatility and challenges in the construction market. But our increased costs are not limited to merely construction. This list of cost increases are in the current fiscal year's operating cost and thereby borne in our rates. So we've seen significant cost increases across the board, ranging from insurance, software costs, electric and fuel, and other type of expenses. And so this also represents significant challenges for us to navigate. So beginning to look forward, and if I have any of my board members here, we're going to talk more about this Tuesday. We have been looking at planning the next fiscal year's budget. We've gone through a number of alternatives. This is alternative 4. It does represent a 7 and 7.5% rate increase, looking for the operating budget next fiscal year. I'd like to point out 2 drivers in this potential rate increase. One, we've taken on $105 million of additional debt over the last year, and that drives an increase in the debt service charge, which is represented here. The other is the EPA's lead and copper rule. If you haven't heard of the EPA's revised lead and copper rule, you're going to. It represents a material impact to our budget. And I'll say we do not believe that we have any lead and copper issues in our system. We've been diligent over the last decade of replacing galvanized steel pipes, but that does not stop the bureaucracy or the costs associated with it. And I'll caveat here too, none of this has been discussed or approved by our Board of Supervisors currently. And even with that, our rates still remain very competitive when you compare us to other utilities across the region. And we understand that economics is important, and so we're very sensitive to where rates are and how they affect the economy. So I had mentioned the bids versus the OPCCs. The cost of capital infrastructure is recovered by our capacity fees. We went through an exercise in the draft rate study looking at current capital costs and updated those plant capacity fees. The capacity fees pays for a customer's or a home's or business portion of the plant because we're agreeing to serve that home or business in perpetuity. And this is how we cover those costs. In the draft rate study, there's a recommendation that we always apply a CPI number increase to that, so we're maintaining our purchasing power for capital infrastructure. And this represents our planned update to the capacity fees based upon this 3.5% CPI number that was from March to March. Now, getting into some of the subject matter that we're really here for, the capital improvement program. I am very pleased to report that a number of projects like Saratoga Springs, Mid-Clay, and the Meadow Lakes facilities are complete. They are finished and operational. And beyond that, the Peters Creek and Governor's Park facilities are on schedule, and we are likely going to hit those targeted schedules for the end of 2025 or 2024 for having those facilities fully operational to support development around them. As you can see, this is a representation in the graph on the expenditures out of the 23-24 capital improvement program. You see the large lump of capital expenditures moving forward, and where the increased capital costs moving forward, that's affecting decision-making in future fiscal years, which will drive additional borrowing and potential rate increases to address those issues. The next area I'd like to talk about that's also on the capital side is our Lake Asbury Master Planning Area Policy. I'm very pleased that the Board of Supervisors supported management's recommendation for a policy as a mechanism to fund capital trunk mains within the Lake Asbury area. Our existing service availability policy puts the responsibility of pipeline infrastructure on the development community, but we also realize that these large diameter trunk mains and the cost of supporting them and constructing them does create a barrier to entry into the Clay County marketplace. So by this policy, CCUA is able to finance and construct these trunk main infrastructure that will support development around them. In our analysis, there's a distinct benefiting area, and we will recover the nearly $31 million investment by the homes and businesses that are constructed and connect in this particular service area. Next, the long-term planning effort. As I had mentioned, we had completed an integrated water resource plan that looks forward 20 to 25 years. It helps us identify opportunities for conservation and demand-side management, turf, alternatives, et cetera, which are your lower alternatives, lower cost alternatives that are green in this graph. The tan areas are potential growth of population. And like the forecast mentioned previously, you don't really know. Every forecast is going to be wrong. It's always by how much. But in our integrated water resource plan, there are triggers. So depending on how growth happens, that institutes triggers to then begin implementing the more costly alternative water supplies. So when you start talking about stormwater harvesting, potable reuse, et cetera, those will be driven based upon population growth criteria. And then like a financial management portfolio, a water supply portfolio, a diversified approach is always best. And so when we did the integrated water resource plan, we looked at the various different alternatives, and the hybrid solution provided the most water use and the most sustainable approach over time. And so that approach is then reflected in our capital improvement program. So not only can we continue to meet the demands of a growing community, we can do so sustainably by also protecting the environment. Tied to that, CCUA continues to work with state agencies, which include the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the St. Johns River Water Management District, and the Suwannee River Water Management District to work on projects to address minimum flows and levels, which are regulations that are aimed to protect rivers, streams, springs, and other water bodies. CCUA submitted our consumptive use permit renewal just as we had advertised last June. We've been working collaboratively with the St. Johns River Water Management District, and addressing the Suwannee MFLs is our only remaining comment in that application. To address that particular comment, we are working with the agencies and other utilities through what is called the North Florida Regional Water Supply Project Conceptualization Effort. CCUA, I volunteered to use our continuing contract, one of our consultants, to help that effort, and that is now about 50% complete. That effort is originally identified about 800 potential projects in North Florida to basically match up where there's an abundance or a surplus of water resources, and then move it through capital infrastructure where there are needs or demands. This could be anything from reclaimed water effluent to land reclamation, etc. All options are on the board. Currently, we're down to about 300 project opportunities, and then we're looking through a scoring criteria to narrow that down to about 25 projects. Out of that 25 large-scale capital projects, we will model what we did with the Black Creek project, where entities can cost participate in that project, and also take those project efforts to the Florida legislature for funding in the future. And what's important about this as it relates to Clay County and North Florida, this provides the means for the state of Florida to truly manage water resources across the region, and do so sustainably to support not only the growing population in Clay County, but a growing population across the entire region. So this is something we see as incredibly important, and we see that as in a very positive position moving forward. And so with that, I can answer any questions, or do we hold questions to the end?
Hey, real quick, Jeremy blew through something that we mentioned in our board meeting last week. 30 years of your organization, and you guys are doing a great job accelerating and expanding to meet the needs of the county. What's coming, the development and everything. I wanted to take an exception. This was Mr. Agreste's baby back in the day. So I wanted to identify Jerry was one of the founding members of CCUA. He was also one of the founding members of our organization. We had said 10 years ago for our organization, and Jeremy stood up and said 30 for ours, and Jerry said, oh my. So, but Jerry, thank you for the foresight for the organizations and the investment you put in the community. As we see, you are starting to see the fruits of everything that you invested into years ago. So I would just want to say thank you for what all you've done.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As I sat there, you've been bombarded with a lot of information, okay, and numbers. Yes, the county is growing. Yes, it's growing rapidly. I think on my presentation here, I'll throw some numbers at you. I would love to take some questions too, so I definitely will hang out here at the end, take questions in that, and answer what's on your mind. But more importantly, I have some staff too that's in the room. I have some commissioners. I want to make sure I recognize my bosses. Commissioner Reniger, chairman of the board here. I got Commissioner Sella is also here. And I did not see any other commissioners, and I may have missed you if you're sitting in the back. Okay. And then Richard Smith, stand up, Richard, because I told you I'd call you out. Richard's our county engineer. When it comes to roads, he's the guy. All right. Woo! He and his team, Taylor Abernathy, and that side of the house, has been just doing phenomenal work. Our public works director, Eric Pope, is right next to him. Eric, stand up. Wearing the blue shirt. He is doing fantastic work. He's retired from the military, And he is just really, a lot is on his plate, and I appreciate both of them. And of course, they're sitting together, right? How important is that? Thank you both. Also, Ed Dendor, stand up, raise your hand. The man, the myth, the legend for bonded transportation projects is here in the house, sitting next to who? Walter Kloss, WGI, for our owner's rep. So we'll talk about that in the presentation here, but I definitely want to recognize those. And those that are feeling that philanthropic drive, maybe you want to donate, support. George, please stand up. You're more than welcome to talk to George if you want to support us in some other way other than through your taxes. So thank you all. Okay, did I miss anybody? I think that was it for staff and that. Okay. Okay, these are the numbers they're going to throw at you. Okay, Clay County, $731 million, dollar budget. We're in the throes of the budget prep right now. You can see the stats up here, out of paved surface roadway, you're talking 850 miles. For public dirt roads, 210 miles, and private dirt roads, 250, okay? So I want that to kind of settle in. Where's our biggest challenge? Across the board, but also on those private dirt roads, because what do people do? They call us up and say, what are you going to do to fix my road? I can't do anything. Population, it's up there. That's the latest number. Obviously, we look at the Bieber reports. I tend to say that we're at 235,000 at this point. The number of building permits that we have, to what David briefed in his, which I really loved. I'm going to steal that AI slide from him. And that was just absolutely phenomenal. And yes, our staff is looking at AI and trying to open up that aperture. And yes, we've looked at like writing letters with AI, searching data with AI, which is really interesting. But those are some of the stats to brief you off the bat here. Our strategic plan. How many of you have a strategic plan, or you got one coming in? Did you guys see it? Okay, right here. You can use your phone as I'm speaking. Next up, we know about the First Coast Expressway. We've anticipated it for many, many years. It's here. It's going to complete. We heard when certain sections are going to complete, and that 7 interchanges is what I'm focused on. What that economic growth is going to be, and we already know in the first 2 interchanges to the north, it's absolutely exploded. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's here, it's coming, and when the projection is to open up Shands, connect finally to I-95 and that for this outer beltway for the area, just stand by. I don't even think we could fathom how much things are going to change within the county. So we talk about these different planned developments, DRIs, communities that are there. Governor's Park, it's right around the corner. I met with a representative just a couple weeks ago on that. You'll see at the first of the year, it start to open up. It's kind of a little bit hard to see this, I apologize. Just in that light blue area in the northern part of it, you'll start to see about approximately 1,000 homes starting to be built. Okay, you guys can read the numbers up there. Yes, this is the Parks Group. Now BTI has it for action. You can see that there's a Green Coast Springs bypass expressway that comes through, that goes through there, that connects 17 to 16 in that way. This is going to be huge. And yes, we talk all the time. Next up, Saratoga Springs. Liam, George is here. We talk about this. Their plan, the latest one, is up here, approximately 4,000 homes totally overall. This is the first part of it here. Again, single-family homes that are there, commercial parcels, acreages out there for government. And each one of these we can request or have it set aside for fire departments, schools, libraries, things like that, and coordinating with these developers. Agricola Properties. I did not see Christoph. Is he in the room? Where is he? Can you raise your hand, Christoph? There he is. Perfect. How many of you attended one of Christoph's charrettes? A couple of you. Okay. I can tell you what game-changing in this idea of walkability and really kind of on the forefront in the plan that's here. The board just heard this plan on the last board meeting. You can see the numbers that are up there. this is really an interesting plan development and what it offers with regards to their agri-hood concept. Really hats off to the agriculturists and thinking about this and really cooperating with the surrounding community to put this in. And as he said before, this is what their plan is, but things could change, right? Life could change, economy could change, things like that. But they've really put it out there, and they put this plan out, and it's been sent to Tallahassee, and we'll see where it goes from there. Road projects. Okay, so I'm sure you want to hear a lot about road projects. Everything that I'm going to talk to you about is on our website. All you have to do is when you bring up our website at claycountygov.com, you go to that search bar that's there, type in roads, and you'll bring it up. You'll be directed to another portion of the website, and then you'll have some links that are there. There'll be some graphics. Really interesting report that we use all the time, that all those 850 miles of roadways were analyzed, okay, and graded. And it has a color code, red, yellow, green, and blue, and those qualities and conditions of those roadways. These are big projects, though, okay? These are the big ones. The ones in blue are state. The ones in purple are county. The ones that are hash marked there, it's red and black, are a combined county and state. You can see the yellow or developer, okay? You can see that portion that connects that green, which is one of the 7 bonded transportation projects there in the middle part of it. Yes, 17 will connect on an east-west with the, it's hard to see too, that what I'm noticing on here is not the First Coast Expressway. So right where the yellow and green meet together there is an interchange for the First Coast Expressway, okay? Huge, okay? This east-west focus and basically ribs to the spine of the First Coast Expressway is what kind of the challenge was to identify and address those critical and deficient roadways throughout the county. I think I covered all of those that are there. And that's just a drop in the bucket. There are more with that, as I said. Also on this, let's talk about one other thing. I want to pause here just for a minute. So for road resurfacing, you're looking at, over the past 2 years, over 110 roads throughout the county have been resurfaced. This has been an emphasis of the board and something that we've been lacking on. And it basically lacking on because the Great Recession really affected us badly when it came to revenues coming in. And when my estimates and when I look at it, we came out of the Great Recession in 2018. Basically, bottom line, 2008 to 2018, revenues taken in were completely falling. Below how I've calculated it is the value of all the parcels throughout Clay County, about the 90,000 parcels, were worth $10 billion in 2008. It wasn't until 2018 that they regained that value, just to give you an idea. So with that, the board's been focused on this older infrastructure, okay, and to make these improvements. For the dirt roads, we've this past year identified and addressed 30 miles of those dirt roads, of the 460 miles of dirt roads, and through a GRIT program. So sometimes Richard and his team, yes, they're funny, okay, maybe in this way. It's the Graded Road Improvement Plan, or GRIT. So it's always kind of interesting how engineers think. So with that means that instead of having a grader operator go out to these dirt roads, why don't we take millings from the roads that we're resurfacing and put them on dirt roads? No, it's not feeding mayonnaise to tuna, but it's almost quite there. All right. So let's use some common sense, not lose it, use it, and get things done efficiently and effectively. Okay. And that's what that's about. Richard gave me a bunch of other statistics. 15,000 linear feet of drainage and roadways that are out there. He also wanted me to point out up towards IKO, which I'll in a later slide have. We've got some DEO money to connect 218 into that kind of Spencer Park industrial area where IKO is building their facility. And I'm sure there's many more of the stats that I've forgotten, Richard, but thank you for providing those to me. Okay, let's talk about fire stations. Much needed throughout the county. About approximately 15 years ago, Station 11 down in Keystone was built. That was the last fire station. Now, we've done some renovations to these older volunteer fire stations throughout the county, but really our focus needs to be on this public safety side, both on fire and law enforcement. I see the sheriff back there, and we've been talking about a combined public safety law enforcement facility. But let's talk about these fire stations, okay? In this concept, you can see the two that are green. That means that those fire stations have moved from the X location in order to better serve the community in response times. Okay, Station 20, which is in Green Cove Springs, that's listed there. You guys can see the old health department building with the chain link fence around it. It's going to be demoed, and that's where that new fire station is going to go. On the one at Fleming Island there in Station 22, it's going to move along to 220 and Arena Road, okay, to better serve the community. The blue one, smack dab in the middle, right next to CCUA, okay, and on Old Jennings Road will be Station number 1. Okay, it'll be a brand new station. In the up and to the left, that's a proposed somewhere along 218, okay, would be a fire station, a brand new one that would go there. The board has given direction to me and the staff to take a look at bonding, okay? So a second bonding initiative focused on public safety, which would encompass $65 million of 5 fire stations and a radio tower. Soon we'll have what paperwork is needed and the requirements to move forward on that and bring it to the board here in June to move forward to sell those bonds and then really get to work on building these 5 fire stations in the next 2 to 2.5 years. And that is the focus there. Let's talk about libraries. You see the 5 libraries indicated up here and a brand new one indicated in blue to the north in the Oakleaf area. Many years ago, there was a parcel identified on a road called Library Road. And in this area uses the Duval Public Library system, that community in that area, but it comes at a cost to them. It's not free, okay? So the board's given direction. We partnered with the CDD there to get some of the land next to the land that was identified, the parcel, to put a library in. And we're moving forward with identifying and getting some plans to move ahead on that. It's going to be challenging. Face the facts. Inflation is affecting us not only at home, but here in the government. Okay, and you kind of heard that from both of the previous speakers. Okay, I have no idea how much the library is going to cost, but stand by. Back to the fire stations. The fire stations that I proposed to you on the 5 of them cost approximately $11.5 million. Okay, just to give you an idea on that. Outdoor opportunities. There are a lot. Okay, this is what Clay County is known for. Quality of life, not only in education, okay, and its water system, but its parks, its trails, over 100 miles of trails, our 8 boat ramps that are out there, our 46 parks that are out there, okay? In the middle, you can see a yellow area. That's the regional park with 8 multi-purpose fields, okay, with restrooms, a walk around area, a trail that goes around the area, and then a parking lot with about 400 parking spaces. And yes, we stressed that on our first event last month for 91 teams for flag football that was sponsored by the Jaguars. Okay, so we're looking at expanding that parking area there quickly. We've got 3 events coming in June. That are going to be fantastic. And then I'll talk about the tourism department in a minute. Just great opportunity ahead. You know, people say, well, why? Well, the 3rd and 4th order effect is these people are coming from all the way from Louisiana as a fact for the flag football. They want to stay somewhere for hotels, but they also want to eat someplace really good. So a lot of people always ask me, Howie, what are you guys doing for restaurants? Well, hopefully this will help solve that problem. In the blue area, it's really hard to see just to the left of the yellow. That's our outdoor adventure park. That's 158 acres. By the way, the regional park is 250 acres, and that's just phase 1 of it. Back to the outdoor adventure park, that has our gun range. It's a dual-use gun range with 30 lanes that we share with the Sheriff's Department, and then we open it up to the community. You can buy an annual membership to that, very reasonable. We give discounts to Clay County residents and veterans, and then those that are outside, we charge them full price. So with that, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, it's open from 8 to 4. It has just been fantastic, and the response that we've seen from individuals going out there to hone their skills and families that are coming out there to teach gun safety to their kids and children. On the law enforcement side, I think that the sheriff would agree, and that it's definitely taken the burden off of going to these other locations and where the deputies and other police, and I saw from Green Cove Springs, the chief's here, and I don't know if Orange Park is here, but if he's not, that's okay. So, and other 3-letter identifier groups, okay, have written contracts out and MOUs with us to use this great facility, and I think it's just fantastic. And more to follow with that area. There's a proposal to put in a skeet range next year, and we'll just have to see if that makes it through the budget process. Okay, tourism, I kind of alluded to this. The numbers are up there with this 7% increase. Definitely during COVID, it was challenged, okay, and the bed tax that was collected there, but we survived through that. And just Kimberly and her team, I did not see her here, and if I missed her, I apologize. Kimberly now has a visitor center on the first floor of the admin building. Okay, just closest to Highway 17 there. Her and her team are operating out there. Please go by to visit her. Okay, she and her team have worked on over 350 events in last year that they brought to our area. And just recently, I don't know if you all went out to MotoSurf down in Keystone. That's one of the great examples of just outside agencies that want to come here and enjoy our beautiful area and our green space. I might add that there'll be a referendum coming in November with regards to green space, and you will have a choice to see if you would like monies to go towards an area that we partnered with not only the Northeast Florida Land Trust, but the Land Trust, Public Land Trust in itself. That's Ramesh and his group, and working with Randy DeFore also on this. So you'll see that, and you as a taxpayer will get to make the choice. Those monies would go to fence off green area, okay, and buy property to keep it green. Some other counties have done this. It's very forward-leaning, okay, and that is one way to combat growth, okay, fence off the green area. Community improvement initiatives. So coming on board, the first one that started was kind of there in the middle along College Drive with the College Drive Initiative. Second one that we're working on is up there to the north. It's called the Gateway to Clay, or the Wells Road Initiative. Okay, and the final one, and I've gone a blank for High Ridge Initiative. Sorry, almost forgot that one. The High Ridge Initiative down there to the south. Each one of these areas was analyzed by the Urban Land Institute, okay? And they've given reports back to the board and some overall suggestions, okay? So the board is focused on these areas. We have cleanups in these areas. We open up to a business opportunity to have a collective business meeting. We're focused on issues like homelessness and blight within these areas. One that's not highlighted is the Blanding Corridor, okay? And that's just obviously between Wells and College. And there'll be an overall super taps is what they call it, to kind of combine all three of those areas, and that'll be coming up that they're working on. If you'd like to be part of that shred, just see me offline and let me know. But this is extremely important to us. These are areas that need to be revitalized, okay, and assisted in some way. And that's what the board's focused on these three areas. High Ridge is extremely difficult. They tried to figure out for a workforce and a center for jobs. Okay, it becomes difficult on that in the area. But, you know, as the lakes rise in there, how many of you live down in Keystone? None of you. Okay, interesting. So if you haven't been down there lately, the lakes are rising, okay? And they're pretty high, probably at the highest level in many, many years. So with that, I would expect great economic opportunity down there also. So we'll see what happens. And then obviously, Keystone Heights Airport is definitely an area to capitalize on for this greatly growing space race, if you want to call it that, and space initiative here within the state of Florida and nationwide. Industries. Many of those I've kind of already alluded to. Upper left-hand corner, IKO, they're building their facility. You can even go online to the Clay EDC and see it live from their camera. There in the middle, that is Niagara, and that family-run and owned company that is in the Challenger Center area. Up there to the north along Kingsley is obviously HCA Florida and Orange Park Medical Center. To there on Fleming Island is Baptist Clay and their 100-bed hospital facility. And then out towards Green Cove, Mobro. And then over, which encompasses really 25% of our landmass, if you look at it, Camp Blanding, Chemours is mining critical and strategic titanium dioxide for use for the military, bottom line, and white, in the pigment color of white. Okay, so those are just a couple. I would be amiss if I didn't mention about Florida Power and Light and their initiatives throughout the county. And many others. So I apologize if I've missed you. I think I've covered most of them. Why is this important? This equates to 400 jobs and over $400 million of investment. Okay, that's huge. And what do we need? Yes, we need jobs within our county. Okay, and that's extremely important. You can see a nice picture down below with the governor. Okay, so with that, so many of you are driving along the road, you hit a pothole and you go, I don't know what you say about me, but yeah, you're very upset about it, or something happens and your garbage didn't get picked up, and that's another one where you go, golly, what's Howie doing? Well, we've got this great app. How many of you have this app? Oh, not enough. Please pull out your phones, scan that QR code, and get this absolute wonderful app to report potholes instantaneously. And where do they go? To the man sitting back there in blue and his team, Eric Pope. Right, Eric? It opens up a ticket. You can track it. It'll notify you via email. It is absolutely wonderful. It also provides you information. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but please, I'm serious. Download it. It gives you alerts. You can look. You can also sign up just the regular email way. Our weekly road report can come out. You can do that on our website. Listen, what's most important is to communicate, okay, and to hear what is bothering you is bothering us, but also to report this through this app. And then number two, for us to communicate back to you, especially in this times of need, and especially with hurricane season coming up on us here, right, in June, all of these indicators that are out there. And the sheriff has Safer Watch. It's another app that's great. I have that on my phone. A lot of times a road may be closed, but there's a law enforcement action that's happening there, or even just the other day, some kids were missing, okay? And that instantly comes out, and you can help in the efforts to find those kids and that. Okay, so did you have enough time to zap it? Have you got it now on, how many hands, did you just download it and now you got it? All right, oh, I got almost half of you, good. All right. So I think that's it. I don't have a question slide, do I? So I think the next thing is it's my pleasure to introduce the Community Outreach Specialist for FDOT, Sarah Pleasance. Please, a round of applause.
Good morning. It's great to be with you again. I'm Sarah Pleasance. I'm the Community Outreach Specialist with FDOT. Been in this role almost 7 years, so almost as long as the summit has been around. And throughout that time, First Coast Expressway has been one of my projects. So today I'd like to give you an update on construction. Jamie kind of did a nice intro. You saw this earlier. The map has changed only in that we've kind of separated out that third phase into two separate projects, and so those will let separately, but with the goal of having the whole corridor completed by 2031. So currently we have 2.5, I guess you could say, projects under construction in Clay County. The first one starts at Blanding Boulevard and ends north of State Road 16. That's our Clay North project. Started construction in early 2019, tracking for completion next summer. Cost $229 million, 11 miles of new roadway with electronic tolling facilities, bridges, and drainage. So you can see we've really made a ton of progress. I'm sure you see it, kind of coming to life in the community. In the past year, they completed all the bridge foundation piles, all bridge beams have been installed, and laid the asphalt for the diverging diamond interchange at County Road 218. In the next year, obviously with a projected opening middle of next year, there's going to be a lot of milestones to hit. Completion of the last 2 bridges that they're working on now at the State Road 21 interchange. So there's a lot of work going on up there and some detours that you may have noticed to complete the new interchange. Placement of all embankment, MSC walls, and then reopening the new ramps at State Road 21. Continued traffic shifts on Henley Road to finish the DDI at that interchange, and then, knock on wood, weather and unforeseen circumstances permitting, completion next summer. And this was a question that was posed to me prior to this morning. The rumor mill is very interesting. I didn't know there were rumors about tolling gantries, but apparently so. But yes, there have been some changes. Florida's Turnpike Enterprise is ultimately the agency that will take over ownership of the First Coast Expressway as the segments are completed. And so they noticed that with the toll gantries on the part that's open, if you drive the full length, you'll go through, multiple toll gantries, and you'll see multiple entries on your SunPass bill, and that was confusing to a lot of people. They thought they were getting overcharged, and so they've kind of moved to an entry and exit tolling scheme. So it just makes the bills a little more streamlined and eliminates some confusion. So the project team, did have to kind of go in a new direction as far as toll gantries go, and so they replaced a couple of mainline toll gantries with the entry and exit ramps. Next project is our Clay South project from north of State Road 16 to east of County Road 209. That one also started in 2019, projected completion next summer. Superior's the contractor, $180 million, just under 10 miles of new roadway, tolls, 18 bridges, so another big project. So in the last year, they've placed all the structural asphalt throughout the project, got all the drainage work done, and most of the bridge work completed except for some grinding and grooving, which is a technical term. They also completed all of the drill shaft installation, and they're working on off-site fabrication of the tolling gantries and then construction of the toll sites on the project. So in the next year, they'll get all the remaining asphalt completed, installing and testing all of the toll gantries, and completion next summer. And then again, with this project, they did kind of change the approach to the toll gantries as far as, relocating them to the entry and exit ramps. The new bridge, very exciting. It just gotten under construction last year at this event. So replacing the existing Shands Bridge, construction to about 2030, weather and unforeseen circumstances permitting, $595 million. So big job, long-term, big investment. So in this past year, it is a design build project. So a lot of the work has been on design and getting the plans finalized. They've gotten a lot of the clearing and grubbing done. I'm sure you've seen that, with the paving the way for where the bridge structure is going to be. And then they also did make some grading repairs to the Shands Bridge. You may remember it being closed a couple of weekends, and that was to get those repairs done so the bridge can continue to be in service until the new one is completed. So this year, expecting the plans to be released for construction, so you'll really start to see construction ramp up. They will be building some temporary trestles and access in the shallow waters on either side of the river, and then start pile driving in the river. So you'll really start to see a lot more activity going on in the water. And as well as some earthwork and some groundwork. All right, so the next segment would be on the St. John side, east of County Road 2209 to east of the County Road 16A spur. We're expecting that to let later this year in a couple of months, either August or September, with construction starting late this year, and then early 2030 is the current projection, about $372 million and about 4.5 miles. And then the last piece, that connection to I-95 there in St. Johns County, currently scheduled to let next spring, construction starting next summer, and completion in 2031 to complete the corridor. So with a big interchange at 95, 2.3 miles in length. So that's what I have as far as an update goes. I'm happy to stick around for questions at the end if anybody has questions about construction. But overall, things are really moving, and, it'll be exciting next year. This time, hopefully we'll be planning for an opening. So thank you. And I would like to introduce, speaking of bridges, Walter Kloss with WGI is going to come talk to us about progress on the new bridge.
And this is the model that, as part of the design that we've completed, showing you what the proposed project is going to look like when it's completed in 2030, including the bridge over the St. Johns River, the Shands Bridge. And you can see the pier at that location. I'll talk about that in a second. And this is in the Clay County side. So, I'm Walter Kloss, Alternative Delivery Vice President at WGI. What is alternative delivery? Well, the conventional way of designing and bid projects, alternative delivery is we typically team with contractors as design builds or construction management at risk or CMAR projects or even public-private partnerships. And so we're excited to be a part of this design build team. Which you heard earlier from Sarah, what Johnson Brothers is the contractor with American Bridge is a joint venture. We're the lead design firm on this project. We're completed the design on the roadway and all the other bridges for this project, and that's ready for go to construction now. Fun fact for Superintendent Broski, our project manager for this job, Mike Madison, it was one of the first graduates at Ridgeview High School when that was opening. So Clay County person managing a very significant size project. The Shands Bridge design will be completed here at the end of this year. As Jamie Driggers mentioned, the bridge itself is a little more complex design. It takes a little bit longer to go through the design process. One of the things that the DOT implemented several years back when if you all recall the tragedy down in Miami with a bridge collapse, is a special process called independent peer review. And that process is not only are we designing an important bridge like the Shands Bridge, but there's independent designers that are doing a separate design and making sure that there's no issues with the bridge design itself. And so we're making sure that we're designing for ship impact. As you just saw fairly recently, the tragedy in Baltimore, when a ship does impact a bridge, it could be very tragic. And so this is one of the reasons why the Florida Department of Transportation is and developed this process to make sure that the bridges that we're designing and constructed here in this state can withstand the required ship and vessel impacts on these structures. And so they understand that it takes a little bit longer to go through that process, and we'll be done with that here by the end of this year. As Sarah mentioned, you would probably see in the next month or so a trestle bridge being constructed on both sides of the river to enable the contractor to be able to get out there and start driving piles when the plans are done and accepted by the department. Most of the project will be able to be built by barges from the river, but along the shoreline where it's shallow waters and muckier things, that it's going to have to be built from this trestle bridge. Some facts about the project, though, besides the bridge over the Shands, over the St. Johns River, the existing bridge, once traffic is shifted over to the new bridge, the existing bridge will be removed and dismantled, except for portions of the existing bridge where it will be turned in and retrofitted into a recreational piers for both the Clay County and St. Johns County sides, which will be a great benefit to our public to be able to access the river. And I know we've lost our pier during the storms here in the past few years. There's approximately, I think, around 82 miles of piles being driven into the river. We do have some special size piles. They're 60-inch piles as they get closer to the banks of the river, and there's like 30-inch square piles that are driven down for the the foundations for the main channel. The bridge will have a horizontal clearance of 200 feet, which greatly improves what is out there today, and will be about 65 feet of vertical clearance, which is about 20 feet of additional clearance than what is out there today. And so it's going to open up to be able for vessels to be able to move further south on the St. Johns River to Palatka or other areas down the river. So that would be an improvement for economic development as well in some of these other areas. And there's also going to be a trail that crosses over the St. Johns River, so people can cross the river, which you can't really do right now because there's no sidewalks or trails across the existing Shands Bridge. So that will be a benefit as well. So that's all I have, and I think there's another video for somebody else is going to come. Or are you introducing? Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you to all the speakers. We appreciate all the information that we've had this morning. We have a final video that Evan Kay has put together for us. It's an incredible video. He does such a great job. We didn't turbo boost the drones this year. He actually flew it since he's picked up his pilot's license. So we'll have a current video of the entire First Coast Expressway coming across.